Kia ora guys, welcome to this episode of the Wholesome Half Hour. I'm Mackenzie.
I'm Sarah, and how's it going?
And this week in the Wholesome Half Hour, what we're going to be doing is mostly just answering a lot of your guys' questions. We've gotten a lot of questions recently, and so we thought we would just dedicate this episode to just briefly discussing exams, which is obviously what's on everyone's minds at the moment.
The hot topic.
The hot topic, if you will. And yeah, so for anyone who is only listening to the podcast, we've also got a live stream set up. So that is...
We'll be answering some questions from people who are watching live as well. But we gave everyone... my computer really hates me, I'll just use yours. We gave everyone, we had heaps of questions coming through the website and stuff last week.
Yeah.
Just before we hit the questions, it's exam time. It's kind of I feel like it's real interesting, just to think about, because you spend all year learning all this stuff, and it's this this
massive thing,
a relatively arbitrary 2-week period where you have to lock it all in.
Yeah, it's. I think it is a weird time of the year, especially if. Oh, Kia just joined. Kia ora, Kia. It is a weird time of year, I think, and for a lot of people, it's it's a weird transition, I think. Particularly if it is your first year of ever going on study leave, because it's just now this time of, I'm not obligated to go to school, but technically I should still be doing school, but it's only me-driven school, so school doesn't happen.
Yeah, essentially. And it is. I was having this thought the other day. I'm I've showed up at these lectures for 12 weeks.
Yeah. I wish I could say the same.
For every class, 24. So I've showed up this trimester, the last 6 months, I've showed up to literally about 100 hours of lectures, but more if you count tutorials. And it all comes down to this 50% of my grade comes down to this 2-hour exam.
Yeah.
Which is it's just a weird thing to think about.
It is very odd. And obviously you guys are feeling that a bit as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of the questions that we have gotten are about dealing with exams directly. I think exams is something that it always feels very, very important, and because you get them in university as well, if that's what you choose to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's very funny to me, I think, because when I was in NCEA, this is not low-key gloating, this was me playing to my strengths, was I always had my endorsements before I went into exams, because I was well, it doesn't matter how many external credits I get for these exams.
Yeah.
And this is not me downplaying the importance of exams, but I could have I had passed NCEA and I had my endorsements before I went into externals, and yet I still tried really hard for the externals.
Yeah.
Which is really odd, because thinking about it logistically, it did not matter what I did.
It is interesting because I can never buy into that. For me at least, and it sounds like you're a similar situation. I can just never buy into the idea of just not sure, it may not matter, but I can just never buy into the idea of not trying. I just can't do it.
Yeah, I think apathy for exams increases as your experiences with them do. I definitely know at level 3.
That's true.
I cared a lot less. But that was, I think, less of caring less, but being more confident and comfortable with the system.
Yeah, that's also true.
I think that's also it. It's on your first day of work, you want to
impress the boss.
You want to impress the boss, and you want to do really well, and you have to ask a lot of questions because you have no clue what's going on. And then you've been there for a year, you know what to do, you've trained people, and you just don't care because you know how to do everything.
Yeah, no.
And I mean the exam system, not necessarily what's in the standards. I'm not going to try to pretend that I knew everything that was in my standards.
No, definitely. It is a weird time of year, but I guess just acknowledging and taking comfort in the fact that it is weird, and it's totally a normal thing to feel that way.
I think just as a quick thing,
react appropriately, I guess.
As a quick thing for some students, I think a lot of people who do deal with exam anxiety and things like that, it's something that you should think about. You've been working throughout this entire year as well. It's not like your entire year is hinged upon these exams.
That is one of the good parts about NCEA.
Yeah, that's definitely something I definitely do love is...
Absolutely.
I'm loving everyone's comments that says yeet. And I will answer a question in a mo, but I'm just trying to organise how to finagle this. But I do think like exams should be treated, they are important and you are showing your knowledge, but it's showing your knowledge in a different format. So you've been doing this throughout all the year, doing your internals as well. So try not to think of exams as the be all and end all, because technically you have been working towards them for this entire year, whether that be doing other internals or actually learning the externals that you will be sitting. So I think quite often it's made out to be like a ginormous thing. And it is important, and I'm not trying to take away from that, but I think sometimes it is overemphasized.
Cool. Shall we start hitting the questions? Because we've got a lot of questions, and I know you have somewhere to be at 1 o'clock. So
yes.
Ideally, we will not still be here at 1 o'clock.
Ideally.
That's the idea, you know.
That is the idea.
I don't make any promises, but
Look,
that's the idea.
In this office, time is an arbitrary thing.
Yeah. I love how like my laptop I like tried to put up the stream again, and like the stream's working. I can see it working on Mackenzie's laptop, but for my laptop, which is like a
$4,700 laptop.
A nice laptop.
A nice boy laptop.
Doesn't pay basic live stream.
Not capable, can't do it.
Not enough horsepower for that.
Yeah. Okay,
cool.
so
shall we go, you
are we
can
going to some of
the question curation and
Are we
selection.
doing the live questions first? Or we got a question of how old we are.
We're both 21.
We're 21.
You're 21, right? Yeah,
I am 21.
I came to your 21st, so I should.
You did come to my 21st.
I should probably be aware that you are 21.
Not a lot of people remember that night. It's fine.
We're both 21, so yeah. We both left school in 2015, so yeah, that's how old we are. I like to think that's not that old, but like I don't know.
I don't think it is that old. I think to a lot of high schoolers, 21 feels quite old.
Yeah.
It's not. And I think the measure of what is old gets like that range increases as you get older, because you're just trying to grip that feeling.
Yeah. I don't feel exactly the same as I did when I was like 18 or 17 or 16, but like you don't feel like fundamentally different. Like I don't feel like I was a kid at 18 and I'm like an adult now. It's not like that.
I think it's funny though for me, because at 18, we're getting off topic here, but just as a quick thing, like at 18, like legally I was allowed to buy naughties and all that kind of fun stuff, but like I did not feel like an adult. Like, I wrote a thing on that. Like, how to know when you're an adult. Nobody's an adult. Nobody knows what anyone's doing. Okay, we'll go to some of the other questions first.
No, it is an interesting thing. Just like people, like I don't know. I feel like when you're younger, and even now, like you always feel like it's almost as if you feel like the grass is greener on the other side. Like in another 3 years, my life will be like fundamentally different, but it's never like life is very incremental in that regard. Like life very rarely makes like radical transformations.
I think, like when I was in high school, I could not wait to be in university, to be living on my own, to be in a different city, to be meeting new people, and like I did all that, and that was sick, and like I don't regret that at all. But every now and then I lie in bed and I think, didn't have to pay rent when I was in high school. You know, it's swings and roundabouts.
There's things you have now that you would never give up, but there's also things that you would absolutely go back to that you like can't. Like, look, it's very much a two-way street.
I just want my mum to make me dinner every night. Is that so much to ask?
That still happens if you live at home. So, pro-life tip: if you're not leaving your city, you should just stay at home forever.
And just get your mum to feed you for the rest of your life, because I promise you make some abominations on your own. Okay.
I can cook, just for the record. I'd like to throw that
I can
out
cook.
there.
I'm pretty confident in my cooking ability.
That doesn't mean I do cook regularly, but it does happen on occasion. It is good when it happens.
Just because it can doesn't mean I will. Okay, let's get into some questions.
Capable. Yeah.
So we're going to go through. We're going to do some of the live stream questions, I think, sporadically throughout.
Mix it in,
yeah.
So we'll go. Yeah. So
we're not ignoring you guys. We will go back to them. We're just dealing with some of the other questions that have been on our website and stuff as well.
So these are from the comments section of
some of our articles.
Some of our articles.
Yeah. So a question that we got is from Georgia.
Yeah.
Kia ora, if you do ever end up watching this. How do you study and stay on task for topics that don't interest you or is hard to focus on? And I think this boils down to a lot of the kind of questions that we've got from people is how to feel prepared, how to even start studying. Yeah. And it links back to a lot of the things that we have been discussing recently about goal-directed study. Goal-directed study is so much better, and it is also like so much more, like you accomplish a lot more, you get more done, you generally actually take less time than if you are focusing on time-directed study. You should be focusing on doing things like if you're not sure where to even start, go through a checklist of your standard. We've got some on our website for some of the really core subjects. Might need to outsource a little bit for some of the other stuff. We are working on it, but we be only humans.
Yeah, so like, it's funny because just as like a little aside, I won this.
Someone told me to stop saying like.
Yeah, I say like a lot as well. But
yeah, who was
I'm
it?
aware of it.
Sam,
it's very
who was
hard
that directed to? Can you
no.
please specify?
Like,
continue.
No, it's funny because one of my university mates asked me the same question this week, and it's funny that that's like such a timeless like thing. Like, for as long
I like
as
that
people,
you stop it every time you say that word now.
This is so painful. It's a very timeless thing, and it's definitely like an issue that people encounter like at other stages of their life. Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
I'm sorry. You can have this discussion with the screen. I will just direct my eyes over this way.
So I guess it's definitely something that like people deal with, and I guess So if we were to like do some practical steps, like definitely like goal-directed study, even just like committing to studying, like don't try to be like I have this exam, I have to study like all day for this. Like literally just commit for like just say 25 minutes. This is the one thing I'm going to try do. I'm going to try do this one question from a past paper. This is the one thing I'm going to do. Just commit for 25 minutes, and you'll often find if you commit for a short period of time, like after you finish that, like the desire to keep going is higher. But like, and if you don't feel like it, maybe like go study something else and come back to it later that day. But like almost sort of like trick yourself into it, like small blocks of time, goal-directed study. And like if it's a subject that you don't enjoy, maybe start off, like if there's like one aspect that you find kind of interesting, maybe start off with something like that.
I think the thing is actually starting, just like anything, and I know I'm working on something. For a lot of people, it is this idea of not even knowing where to start.
Yeah,
and I highly recommend start with an overview of the standard. Start with a checklist of the standard. See what it is that you actually have to do.
Yeah.
And if you're struggling to figure out which subject to start with, either go with what is the trickiest to you, or what exam is the closest, and deal as difficult as it can be. Tackle the stuff that you are least sure of. It may not have to be first if you're trying to ease yourself into it, but actually do it. Quite often, something that seems like a really daunting big issue takes like 5 minutes of clarification. And it becomes so much easier and so much clearer, and your confidence in that overall standard, or even that section, increases significantly just by like simply Googling something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Or even just like messaging a mate or something, if it's something like that. Definitely, if you're for the big subjects, we have checklists on our website, StudyTime.co.nz/guides. And like that's definitely a good place to start if you're like not sure, because a lot of the time you'll look at a checklist and you'll be like, I actually know like a lot of this stuff, even though you may thought didn't, or like like 80% of it. So like to finish that last bit is often a lot less effort than it may seem at first.
Yeah, I think
because like if you take you take like maths, like let's say you're doing like level 2 algebra, something like that. Like if you actually get a past paper and look at it, you'll realize that like the first question for like each the 3 questions, like the first bit is all just like level 1 stuff, which you may already just know.
Yeah.
So like you're only once you find that out, you realize you're only studying for the M or for the E, and then it becomes like a lot more like you just feel a lot more at ease with the process.
Yeah, I think recently we have uploaded an article on how to make a study schedule, so we highly recommend you guys check that out.
I wonder who wrote that.
Anyway, it's got some specific information on actually how to get started as well. And it can feel like this beginning organisation kind of progress, whether that be making a study schedule, whether that be going through checklists. It feels like it can be a little bit redundant, like, oh no, this is time I could use for studying, like I'm only organising things at the moment, so I'm not really doing anything. But you are. And by consolidating your information, by actually figuring out where you need to focus on is such an important first step, and it means that the study you're going to be doing after that is going to be targeted at the areas you need to focus on or want to focus on. It's going to give you some context for each of the standards that you're actually going to be sitting as well. because quite often as well, when we learn externals back to back, they can kind of blur into each other. Bio is like a real bad sort of example of this, where topics sort of, you don't really know where one standard starts and the other standard ends and that kind of thing. So going through these checklists is a really important first step, particularly if you don't know where to start. And if you want just like a quick thing to give yourself some kind of, feeling of accomplishment, this is really, really important to do. Yep. And whether you need to do this for all your standards or just a few that you are feeling least confident with, that's entirely up to you. I think for the content-based subjects, a lot of the sciences in particular, this is a very useful first step in your study. So if you are anyone out there who has no clue what to do, I highly recommend you do this. It's so easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
I think we'll move along just because we've got a lot of questions to get through.
Yeah. So Ashley asked, what do I do if I have 2 exams in the same day? What do I study for? I have an exam the day before as well. So this is really tricky, and this is something that everyone is going to encounter probably at least once in the NCA experience. Hopefully it's not something that you have happen again.
And it doesn't stop it.
It's something that I've had happen a few times. Like I've had a few double up days of exams. It's something that organisation beforehand is key to these kind of things. In my own experience, I made cheat sheets and I use these.
Can we just clarify something? The cheat sheets, when we say the word cheat sheets and when we have the cheat sheets up on our website, we don't actually intend on you taking them into the exam. We had someone message the page and be like, this is 2 pages, how do I get this into the exam? You don't take the sheet into the exam. You use the sheet before you go.
The cheat sheet is synonymous with a summary sheet of the standard.
Yeah.
In your own experiences in making cheat sheets and making summary sheets, you should be aiming for one standard to be on no more than a double-sided piece of A4 paper. It doesn't need to be a ginormous diagram. You don't need to be hauling a whiteboard around with you all the time.
It should only be the most important facts for that standard. It essentially should be if you could take this into the exam, 1 double-sided sheet of paper, what would you put on it?
Yeah. Limit yourself to 1 double-sided sheet of paper per standard.
Per standard, yeah.
For those who sort of have trouble kind of limiting that thing or knowing where.
If you have trouble limiting it, the best way is what I'd do is say you want 6 pages, do 6 pages, and then try to turn that 6 pages into 3 pages and then turn it into 1 page.
That was where I was going to go with it next. And this is another study method that you can use, is making summary sheets and whittling them down.
Yeah. And
then you would result in just a double-sided A4 piece of paper. So what you should be doing is either using your notes or making some new notes again. Excuse me. You can practice the concepts that's on it and then simplify it down again when you're more confident with it. So say, for example, at the beginning in bio, for example, you had a section on the different kinds of trophies? I should know this. I teach bio. It's left my head.
Well.
If you have to list something of an overarching idea, oh my god, I'm trying to think of a solid example.
List something of an overarching.
Different kinds of taxis. That's what I was thinking. Photo taxi and all that kind of stuff.
I was thinking taxes, as in I don't know, income tax.
Stop being corporate for 2 minutes.
Government goods and services tax. I don't know any other taxes off the top of my head.
So, what you should be doing...
You can tell I've got a lot of sleep recently.
If you have an overarching umbrella idea, have listed all the things that come under that beneath it with a simple explanation of each. Go through and practice them until you're comfortable with what each of these are, and then on your next summary sheet, just have a list of them where you know how to, on your own, explain what each of them are, so you don't need a definition beside everything.
Yeah.
And then what you want to do after that is, if you need to whittle it down even more, just have the overarching idea like taxis or something like that. And then in your brain, you know, oh, there's 5 or 7 of them or something like that. There's a weird number of them. And be able to list all those off. And this is how you break down your summary sheets to make it more condensed. And what it also does is it is sort of a way that you can physically see, oh, well, between this and this, I memorized this, so I don't need to write it anymore. I know this information now. And this is how you should be using your cheat sheets as well, because like Sarah said, you can't take them into the exam, so you shouldn't be trying to put everything on a standard just on a piece of paper and have none of it in your head. Cheat sheets should be summaries, not detailed, in-depth examples of absolutely everything, like a walkthrough guide or something like that. It shouldn't contain that much information because most of it should be in your head.
Cool. Someone says that I say like a lot. You're not my friend anymore, so...
Oh.
A lot of
Some
salts.
call-outs.
I've been called out. I don't appreciate being called out about my choice of words in life, you know?
That's fine.
Let me say...
Just do what you want to do. Don't let the children get you down. Okay. We had another question asking about how to stay on task on subjects that are hard, and having struggled to focus on them, and basically just a lack of motivation. And this kind of comes into the question that we were talking about before. And unfortunately, motivation isn't something like inspiration or creativity where you wait for it to strike you, and that rule doesn't even apply to those. You shouldn't do that.
You've got to make your own motivation, right?
You have to make your own motivation. Nothing is going to just strike you at a given moment. And that's a hard to swallow pill. Yeah. That is a very hard pill to swallow. It's not going to happen unless you make it happen. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you're going to sort of realize that there is no magic cure. We can write as many articles on how to motivate yourself or how to reward yourself as possible.
Like one of those things, like at the end of the day, like
nothing's going to happen without you
doing it yourself.
Yeah. In the famous words of Shia LaBeouf,
if you want like some tricks to like kind of make studying easier, the other thing is like Pomodoro technique. Location variation is something that like I find is interesting. Like I'll study at uni for an hour, then I'll go to like a cafe for an hour, then I'll go to like different university campus for like an hour, something to just kind of like
change it up,
like keep your mind, and like taking breaks, 5-minute break. That's not something that you're going to get sucked into, but like something that just like clears your mind. Go for a walk, grab a LaCroix. I don't know what you.
Yes, the children all drink that.
I don't know what people drink these days.
I think it is one of those things, in wanting to study for your exams and stuff like that. Us here at StudyTime, we're always going to be here to give you guys advice, and we're going to try help you into doing this as much as possible, but like we can't hold your hand during an exam. You're the one that has to make the action to actually try the Pomodoro effect, or to try making a summary sheet, or try making a flowchart, or any of the tips that we might give you. At the end of the day, you're the one that has to utilize it. Otherwise, all you're doing is learning about techniques rather than actually implementing them.
A lot of people trick themselves into this by like watching a video or something that they're studying. Like you're getting part of the way there, but you have to actually, once you finish watching the video, once you finish reading the article, you actually have to execute against that and take the advice and actually do it.
Yeah.
And that's the part where like a lot of people like they read the article, they get the walkthrough guide, but then they don't follow through.
Yeah, you'll find in a lot of our advice, tips, videos, articles, whatever they may be, we do our best to try and include what we call action steps in there, which is basically how you guys can get started on doing the things that we're saying are useful for your own study. And if you listen to the podcast, watch videos, whatever format it is that you're consuming, we do our best to try tell you, here's our advice and here's how to use it. But yeah, that's in terms of motivation and stuff like that.
Sweet. Shall we hit some? Oh, we have more.
We'll do some live stream questions.
Okay, we'll do some live questions.
Okay, so we had a question from Fiona about the right-hand slap rule, but I think somebody answered that in there, which I'm very happy about.
Pro tip from Haiti, one of the strategy presenters, is that you should use your right hand while doing the right hand rule. Supposedly she used her left hand in the exam.
Interesting.
Use your right hand when doing the right hand rule. It tends to help.
Okay, we had a question from Zara about what's our favourite brain food while studying.
I don't really eat while I study.
I don't eat often while I study either.
I drink water or coffee. Yeah.
I think
that's probably not the answer you were looking for.
Yeah, I just drink black coffee, honestly. I think keep it light and keep it simple. Because you know that feeling after you've just eaten a very big meal, or a pasta packet for one.
Don't have it something that's gonna make your energy levels crash.
Sugar. So basically, after big meals, your brain sort of starts releasing neurotransmitters and stuff that makes you feel sleepy. So you don't want to eat two really, really heavy meals, really, really starchy meals, or just big Big meals, sorry. Because what it's going to do is just make you kind of more tired. You have a bit of a lull before you sort of do get any energy from it, because your body is trying to digest all this food that you've just put into it. So it's kind of focusing on that right now.
It actually like uses energy to digest food. Like that's a thing.
Yeah, 100%. So keep it simple, keep it light. Don't smash back too much sugar unless maybe you're doing like your final dash of the day of your study. That would be like fine, but I wouldn't be like smashing heaps of sugar throughout, because like Sarah said, you will crash. Similar to caffeine, unless you just keep yourself
what? Unless you just keep drinking it, but then you can't sleep at night.
Caffeine is one of those things that you got to go all or nothing. It's got to be a whole day event if you're going to do it.
It's alright, space it out. Like I don't know, like I never drink more than like 3 cups of coffee in a day. Space it out. Don't drink it too close. Don't really drink it after 4 o'clock.
Yeah,
and even then,
So
strategic.
Bear those things in mind. I think it's quite easy to know what foods you should and shouldn't be eating while studying. I think if you're
common sense prevails here, right?
Yeah.
Like if you think it's something you probably shouldn't be eating, it.
And what I do like to eat while I study is just like light snacky things that I could like eat 1 or 2 of at a time. And so most people would think to go straight to lollies. Do you know what I really, really love? Is things like you can get like soy mix or like buja mix.
Can you move this way a little bit? Yeah, there we go.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
No, I'm happy now.
All right. Like wasabi peas, what I love is spicy broad beans. They're like super fun. And like, I don't know, just like the small snacky type stuff that you would find in like the like that section of the supermarket where you've got all the pick and mix kind of section. That kind of thing I think is quite good, because you can sort of decide how much you want and you can sort of ration it out, but it's something you can sort of small snack on throughout the day.
No, definitely. I agree with that conceptually. I just never really eat while I study.
Yeah, I'm not super inclined to study. I think if you're using it as like a reward type system, like that's also very all good. But yeah.
Yeah, we're probably the wrong people to ask.
Yeah.
It is a question people ask a lot though. It comes up very often.
I think, sorry, I'm just going to ruin the mic for a sec, but I think it is one of those things that common sense does prevail. If you look at it and you have to ask, should I be eating this like while I'm trying to study? The answer is probably not. But again, it's very like flexible.
Yeah. Cool. Any tips for the digital exams? I've never done a digital exam. I don't think you have either. So.
Oh, it's a digital exam. So it's just when you're sitting it on the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I would imagine you'd sit it a lot quicker. I don't think there's a huge difference.
I wouldn't treat it any like fundamentally different to.
My issue with digital exams is that like you can't really like scribble as much.
Yeah.
Unless,
I don't know.
can you take other paper and
I don't know
scribble?
how it works. So it's wrong people to ask. We're too old for that.
We can inquire and we can like answer it on next week or something like that. But
yeah, if you've done a digital exam, can you actually just let us know. Comment on this video or like PM the Instagram? I'm just curious, like how does it work? Like
yeah.
Thanks.
We would know, but that's fine.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a look at some of the questions that we have received on IG when we put out a call earlier today.
I should take that down. Yeah.
Somebody asked, what is a wholesome half hour?
I'm cut. My life is
this. Now. But yes.
This is the wholesome half hour.
This is the wholesome half hour. Welcome. Yes.
Thanks for joining us.
Kia ora. We had a lot of questions about specific subject tips before going into exams, and I'm going to let you answer this one.
So, I've been working around the clock for the past 2 weeks while doing my university exams to bring you the StudyTime strategy videos. We now have them, so they're now out. So they're like, the strategy videos, they're about a 4 to 6 minute video for each of the big external standards. So like, when I say for each of the external standards, like there's one for written text, there's one for visual text, there's one for unfamiliar text. So they're out now for level 1 English, level 2 physics, level 3 chemistry. Those are all out now at studytime.co.nz/strategy. They also come with a cheat sheet, which is like a 1 to 2 page sheet that summarizes the entire standard. On top of that, we're not just doing it for 3 subjects, we're doing it for all the big subjects. So we're doing level 1 English, science, maths, level 2 maths, physics, chemistry, biology, English, and level 3 English, physics, chemistry, biology, stats, calc. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those will be coming out roughly like 5 to 7 days before the exam.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on like our Facebook, Instagram, StudyTime, or they're all at StudyTime.co.nz/strategy. Yeah.
We won't be able to answer all your guys' specific questions about every subject because
if you have questions, just go to that or look at the walkthrough guide as well.
Yeah, we will be posting up on the StudyTime page every time a new one goes live. So if you are like making sure that you're monitoring the page, you will be able to see it there.
You won't miss it.
Yeah, you won't miss it. They'll be out roughly a week before your exam, so you'll have cheat sheets for your standards and some videos to accompany it where we're giving you some tips on it. So really stay tuned for those guys because I think they will be really, really helpful. And Sieren's just like killed himself trying to do them all.
That's all right. Yeah, I'm still alive. Got one more exam tomorrow.
I'm very excited for you.
That's a very weird sound. And also we're doing some live streams for some subjects as well, aren't we? Yeah?
We're in the process of potentially trying to figure that out.
Yeah, so we might be doing some like live stream like panels with like people who actually know what the subject is.
Yeah, we're going to get like some of us, some of our tutors and stuff to come in who know the subjects really, really well. And we're potentially going to have like a panel type situation where we'd have another live stream set up where you guys can ask some questions.
Yeah, with people who actually know the topic.
Better than us.
Me. You can ask me questions about politics or media studies.
And taxes, apparently.
You can ask Josh about taxes.
Okay, so we had another question on the live stream from Kai. I'm very sorry if I pronounced that wrong. How do you decide the direction of the energy arrows when applying Kirchhoff's voltage law? Oh, mate. I don't know. I don't know physics.
Yeah. SARS. Also, the other place to ask is NCA help group.
Yeah, we do have an NCA help group.
Just search like NCA resources. Just search for it on Facebook or like go to the website. The link's there. It's like under ask. Also, someone asked, can we release them for the level 2 maths ones are coming out this Friday.
They're coming out, this Friday. There is not one for business studies though.
SARS or media, SARS. If you have a question about media, you can ask it on the stream. I'll be able to answer.
Yeah, we can answer media questions. There is also an article that we've got at the moment up, 5 ways to smash your media exam. Siren can maybe make a link to it at some point somewhere.
Yeah, you can find it. Just go to the website. It's on like the front page. StudyTime.co.nz.
Yes, so those are there as well that you can access, and it's got some really good tips and stuff on there as well, just in helping set up essay structure and that kind of thing.
Awesome. Back to the old.
Okay, so somebody asked, what is the best calculator for level 3 calc?
I presume it's just the one that everyone has, like the what's it called, like the FX 9750.
Yeah, I would recommend going for the that white thicker one than there's like 2 versions that most students have, and the
9750 G2. The fact that I remember the model number of the calculator.
The Casio one I would recommend because that can like graph and stuff like that. It is actually like a graphics calculator.
This boy.
Yeah, that boy.
This boy.
That one. It's got like a white kind of
There's also
cover
like
of it and stuff. The other really common one that students use is...
There's a white version of it.
I think it might be another type of Casio one, but it's darker coloured and it's got like blue and orange buttons on it. Blue, orange and grey. And
this one?
Yeah, that one.
This is the old scientific boy.
Yeah, so the difference being that this is a scientific calculator and the other one is a graphing calculator. So the other one can do like everything.
Yeah. But
whereas that one... in that one, you can do everything, but it's usually way more difficult. And most teachers teach to the graphics calculator, like they teach students how to use those as opposed to the scientific one
especially
alone.
for level 3 calc, having the graphics calculator is definitely worthwhile.
Yeah,
and even if you don't have one, like you can probably borrow one off someone.
Yeah, if you ask your teacher very nicely, like the day before or something like that, just email them or something. Just let them know, hey, could I borrow it just during my exam? They're usually not too worried about it. It's when you ask, it's when you forget your calculator and you got 5 minutes before your exam that people start getting annoyed at you. Yeah. So just be in advance. You know what I mean?
Email them now.
A little bit of common courtesy, team. We've got a question for who in the team is most likely to win Model of the Year? I think there is like only one model in the StudyTime team.
I feel like that question answers itself.
Yeah, I mean, you know...
Actually, two of the StudyTime team members are signed with the modelling agency.
Actually, yeah, no, two of the team are signed with the modelling agency.
The same agent.
Same, yeah. It's definitely not
you
us.
You can take your picks, it's definitely not us.
Yeah, you can guess who it is. Somebody else asked how to feel prepared. There wasn't a for...
Preparing does tend to help feeling... If you prepare for the exam, you tend to feel more prepared.
I don't know if it's for exams or for life or just how to feel prepared.
How to feel prepared for life. You're never going to feel prepared for life.
Nobody ever feels prepared for life. It happens. Life happens and you just have to deal with everything as it comes. But for exams, take some of our earlier tips about using the checklists and all that kind of thing. Have like a big organisation, like set aside some time or a day or something where you just want to organise everything, and it will definitely pay off in the long run. Don't fall into this trap of thinking, oh no, I wasted my day doing this instead of studying, because you'll find that once you've organised everything, your study becomes way more time efficient anyway. So that's our best sort of advice for that one. I'm sorry.
No, I think that's,
That's right, yeah.
How to deal with anxiety during the exam?
During the exam. Like I would say while they're sitting the exam.
Yeah, if you're like sitting in the exam and like, you know, the wave of anxiety starts to hit you, like realize you have 3 hours. If you manage your time well, it's quite a long time. Like definitely try to use like the 1 hour per exam thing. But like if you feel anxious during the exam, like don't literally just pause for a minute. Water's real good for this. Like just like literally stop and like drink the bowl of water and like don't drink the whole
bottle. Don't smash the whole bottle of water. That will not work well for you.
Just like pause for a second. Like drink the bowl of water. Drink a sip.
Sip the bottle of water.
And just kind of just try to like disconnect with the exam like for a minute and realize that minute that you like pause is not actually going to probably have a big impact on your grade.
And this is just like we were talking about with the preparing. If you are if anxiety is really getting at you in the middle of an exam, you are better off taking a moment to collect yourself than you are if you were to try push yourself onwards. If you are really struggling in the exam and you want to take a moment, just like sit there for a second and like look at 3 things that are directly in front of you that you can touch. You can do things like just focus on the placement of your tongue in your mouth. You can
like classic like mindfulness things.
And just remind yourself of kind of where you are. Like, I don't know, like count the tiles on the ceiling for a little bit if you need to. Just disengage with the exam for a second.
Yeah, like if I was
to focus on calming yourself down before diving straight back in.
Yeah, like if I was to do like a demo, if I was to like do it in this room, I'd just like notice like weird things, like there's like a weird light switch thing over there. There's this weird mug there. Like we've got like 4 weird chairs. I don't know why we have.
None of them match.
None of them match. One of them's not even a chair. One of them's only a stool. Like literally just like stuff like that. Just like something to take your like. Don't try to not. Like,
don't force it.
Like, it's one of those things. Like if I say like don't think of a pink elephant, you're going to think of a pink elephant. Like that's just how the mind works. So instead of not trying to think about the exam, like just try to think about like just look at other things and think about that for a second.
Literally just direct your attention to something else for a bit. This is one of the best ways to. This is also like if you feel like you could be beginning to experience a panic attack or something like that as well. And really it's just grounded in this. The idea sort of stems from this. This idea stems from this idea. This thought process of just grounding yourself for a moment and recentering yourself, because quite often if you are experiencing any of these kind of things, quite often your mind just runs away from you and stuff. So it's a way to kind of rein it back in. But yeah, that's for directly in the exam.
If you want to do some preparation, like download like Headspace or something and do like a guided meditation on that. Just so you like know what the process is like. So in the exam, obviously you can't bring Headspace into the exam, but you know what the process is like beforehand, so you can like execute it
100%
in the exam a lot easier.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Haven't started studying and don't know where to start.
Start now.
Refer to the earlier part of the video.
Essentially. Ways of coping with 2 exams. Yeah, so 2 exams in one day, like you have to prepare ahead and like it is what it is. Preparing ahead is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, prepare ahead and use the time when you can, because it's quite easy the day after an exam to think, oh, I don't have to do anything today because I had an exam yesterday. However, if you've got exams back to back or within 2 days of each other, you kind of really can't do that.
Yeah.
So, like, if this is what gets you through, plan a day that you won't be doing any study, and like you have that to look forward to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that's what gets you through, do it, rather than feeling like you need to immediately reward yourself with a day off if it's logistically not awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my most practical advice for that.
Learn Coach's Life, I hate you.
We had another question about level 2 what would be the best way to provide a societal link in level 2 media? Depends on what your idea is, and it is mostly, make sure it's not like waffle, like...
Don't I know it's like tempting to just make up stuff, but like I'd almost try not to. Like I'll be like a lot of times, like almost all films that you will study are like usually going to be some sort of like have some sort of social commentary element to them.
Yeah.
So like I don't know what's like a popular film.
My go-to is always A Clockwork Orange, and I understand that that's not super pop fiction-y.
Yeah. So like if you were but most films have a message, and also you if you're doing this in advance, like most films like have like look at tools like Spark Notes and stuff.
If you have an idea or a genre or a theme or something that you're wanting to discuss, make sure that you understand what that idea is or what that genre actually is aiming to do. What is its history? What is it grounded in? What is the what is the surrounding knowledge to your thing? Because it's very easy, and I think a lot of people fall into this trap. When they discuss things like ideas, they're kind of vague, and they kind of rely on this idea that they can just produce something in an exam.
Yeah.
And this can sometimes work, but it doesn't work in everyone's favour. So if you've got things in the part... Okay, I'm going to use A Clockwork Orange just because it's very easy for me to discuss. If we're going to discuss the ethics of changing people to fit societal norms, even though it may not follow ethical procedures, you could look at things like what they use in that movie is Pavlovian conditioning, so you could potentially discuss what that is, and that had an impact on society. The tools that movie relies on to portray their message are from society, from what people have actually done. So of course it's influential, and it's something that people still use today.
The other thing I'd say is if you're doing the level 2 media, like the genre paper, the other thing is understanding for that particular paper, understanding your genre and the history of your genre is almost more important than understanding any societal links of a particular film. The genre exam is about genre, and you're using the films as demonstrations of aspects of that genre and the history of that genre. It's not about the exam is not about the film itself. The films are just tools.
And the examples that you are using should be demonstrating the development of that genre as well. So no genre is static. They always change. If you take documentary, for example, you change from propaganda, basically, type films. You go to avant-garde type documentaries where they're like first person. Then you got the beautiful Michael Moore style documentaries that are the ones that are commonly used today, which are still very propaganda-y, but that's fine. And you would use different movies from each era to show the tropes of each style and the way in which it's developed and what has made it developed. In media studies, you're almost always going to mention the Hays Code at some point.
The Hays, I forgot about that. That's a good time.
The Hays Code is important.
It is important.
You could apply it to basically anything. So mention the Hays Code.
And it's not just if we're to expand on that for a second, it's not just the Hays Code in and of itself, though that is very important, but just that conceptual idea that
what was society like at a time where that kind of thing came in? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think about that kind of thing.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, we spoke about that way too long, but that's fine, because it was something we actually knew.
I like media studies.
Yeah, so do I.
It's good. You should study at university. It's real fun.
It was a good time. 2 exams in one day. Tips for level 2 English and health. Sorry, I can't help you with health. I didn't even think health had externals. I thought that was internally assessed only.
How it works.
But level 2 English, we will have strategy videos out.
Will be out next week, I think.
And the last question was tips for level 2 English, so that one, and Spanish.
I just kicked that in. I want to include a pro tip on Spanish. Not that I can speak Spanish or not that I studied Spanish, but something we had, the video will come out next week, but we had Chris Bishop in and he wanted to try, we got him to try a level 1 French exam. And he only got achieved, but not because he didn't know, his French understanding, when he translated text was actually quite good. But in the language exams, they want you to give as much detail as possible. So a couple of things is if there's half a page to write an answer, they're probably looking for an answer that's longer than one sentence.
Yeah, give them as much detail as possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything. One thing that I was also going to say is an article will be released hopefully within the next week or so. Sorry if you would have already sat Spanish by then, on how to study for language exams.
Yeah.
So that is something that is also hopefully going to be out very soon.
Yeah, awesome. You should definitely keep a good. If you really want to commit, you can go to our page and you can turn on notifications.
Yeah. And
you can get a notification every time you post. You get a lot of notifications though. So if you're trying to focus and study, I'm not actually sure that I'd recommend doing that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Well.
Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening in.
Yeah.
If you've got any questions for us next week, drop them in the comments on this video or on the podcast, or email us. No, not email us.
Don't email us.
Yeah, don't email us. You can email us.
Oh yeah, but not with a question for the Wholesome Half Hour.
Instagram DM's always good. If you DM us on Instagram, can you just say it's for the Wholesome Half Hour in the message? Otherwise, it gets confusing.
It does get very confused very quick. But yeah, that's kind of it
Good
from
luck.
us this week, guys.
Smash it. Something real weird is going on.
It's just will. It's definitely will.
Yeah,
it's almost certainly will.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's been us for today, guys. So give us all your questions next week, and and check out the strategy videos when they do come out for all exams that you're taking, or if you're just a very avid fan, watch all of them.
I want to see if I can get my hat on the camera. Okay, bye guys.
Okay, bye guys. Oh, that did not work. That was upsetting.
Sucks.
Stop the live stream?
Yeah, probably. That would be good.
Just in your shame. Someone also said break away and have some fun too, which you should also be doing.
Totally do.
Making sure that you are taking meaningful breaks as well. That's also very important.
Cool.